So, welcome to today's meditation time. It is an honor to get to spend these few minutes with you, and I hope that you see it as an honor to spend these few minutes with yourself, to separate from all the stuff you've done today, all the stuff you'll have to do tomorrow, and just spend just a few minutes centering and grounding and coming into this present moment. So as we each settle into our physical space, I would invite you just to let your eyes gently close, or just cast them down away from the screen or wherever you're looking. And as the gaze softens, allow the body to begin to soften a bit as well. There's spots that feel tense or that you're holding some things in, just let it go. Sometimes we notice what's gone on in our day just by looking at our shoulders or feeling the tension down deep in our tummy or in our low part of our back. We all carry stress in different ways and in different places. But if we pause like we do right now, we'll see and feel those places, and they can become our entry point for release, for stillness, and eventually for healing. And so as you just start to allow yourself just to relax into the spot where you are, let's just start to breathe together collectively. So just take a slow, deep breath in and a full, complete breath out. And a slow breath in and a full breath out. And breathing in together. Breathing out together. Just one more together. And just check in and see, in a matter of just a few breaths, how things have already begun to shift. All of a sudden, the busyness and the whirling of activity in our mind doesn't seem nearly as important or nearly as loud. Your breath is your entry point to that stillness, to that release, to that healing. And so just maintain your connection to it throughout these few minutes that we have together. And I've been thinking a lot over the last several weeks just about this concept of gratitude, reaffirming my own gratitude practice in my life around different things that are going on. But through it all, just holding firm to this idea that I want to cultivate gratitude in all parts. And I really want to start really focusing my gratitude internally to the things that I know already exist within me, but that I forget. The things that get blocked or covered up by worry. The things within me that get buried under these layers that the world puts on each of us. But I've sat with this quote from Thich Nhat Hanh for the last several days. I've used it in several of my classes, and I've been sitting with it myself. And I think it is such a beautiful reminder that we got to bring it back in toward us, to stop looking externally for all of the answers, for all the things to be grateful for, but rather to turn our focus inward toward our heart center, toward our soul, the essence of who we are, knowing that the light and the answers and the strength are there. And so there's this beautiful quote that he has shared that says, "The moment of awakening may be marked by outbursts of laughter and smiles. But it's not the laughter of someone who won the lottery or the smile of someone who's had an external victory. But rather it is the laughter of someone who, after searching for something for a very long time, suddenly reaches in and finds it in the pocket of his coat." And the first time I read that, I had to grin, and I thought, how many times have we as humans We're so sure where something is, and then we've just finally given up because we've just not been able to find it. And then all of a sudden the season passes and the next season comes, and we get out that jacket or that pair of pants or that sweater, and we put our hand in a pocket that hasn't been used for many months, and we pull out this thing. Sometimes it's money that you just can't remember what you did with that $20 bill, and all of a sudden, months later, there it is. Sometimes it's this treasure that you've picked up somewhere and you tucked it in the pocket and then you couldn't remember where it was. There's so many examples of us doing that as human beings, because what we tend to do is we start to look out around us for these things. The things that we think will bring us joy and peace and happiness. But what he is saying is it doesn't come in these worldly kind of victories. It doesn't come in these worldly kind of winnings. It comes in the familiar place, like your pocket. But as I've read his explanation and his commentary on this quote, what he's telling us is this pocket represents what's in us. We were each created in this unique and divine image. And whatever you ascribe to that divinity, whatever name that you call this source of creation, of the divine, it exists in each one of us. Different groups of faith call this being different words. They ascribe different characteristics, but we all have it within. We all have this light, this strength, this unwavering goodness. It's been there since the beginning. But along the way, just like with the things that we forget about and we cover up and we lose, we forget about those things as well. The world pulls us one direction and tells us to focus our attention there. And then it pulls us another direction and tells us to focus our attention there. Until we're just looking from side to side, not sure where we're supposed to pay attention, which voice we're supposed to listen to, which truth we're supposed to believe. But that first word of his quote talks about this awakening. And our meditation practice is our pathway there. This awakening back to the essence of us. The one that's been there in that pocket all along. The one that the world covered up or the world distracted us from. But we have the pathway each time we show up on your cushion, your spot, your place, wherever you are, that you pause and you call this your meditation time. That's our entry point back to where we should have been all along. But the beautiful thing is it doesn't ever change. It doesn't get harder to go back. It doesn't get farther away. It's always in the same spot. Just like that treasure that's in that pocket of that coat in the back of the closet that we haven't touched for months. It hasn't moved. It's been there all along, just waiting for us to find it. Our meditation practice reveals to us the same thing. The divine light within each of us has been there all along. The unwavering goodness has also been there all along. And the unique and necessary contribution that we each make to this world has also been there all along. And this practice that we engage in points our attention, our direction back to those very things. And so I want to just pause, and I want us just to sit, each of us in our space, in our own reflection, but then also collectively knowing that here in this place where we are together, around this globe, there are so many people on this very same path toward awakening. It's not discovering something new. It's discovering something that was already there. And so let's just each sit, not really trying to answer any questions, but just seeing what reflections come up in each of our minds. Because that familiar pocket with that treasure is going to look different for each of us. The experiences that have pulled us away from it will also look different for each of us, as will the path back. But it starts here in this moment. One breath in, one breath out. And as that breath passes, the next moment is given to us, and we continue the walk. So let's just pause where we are, one breath at a time, finding our way toward our own metaphorical pocket of the goodness, of the light, of the divine image that exists within. And as we each just continue to breathe slow, full breaths in and slow, complete breaths out, I want to just bring our closing together toward the words of St. Francis of Assisi. There's a very long prayer that he has had quoted for so many years. But I think the first line of it just validates exactly what this idea that Thich Nhat Hanh shared about this, all this goodness already residing within us. The first line of his very famous, very quoted prayer says, "Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace." And then he goes on to say all these other things, these requests as he prays. And I would propose that there's no way for us to be instruments of peace if the peace didn't already exist within. So just think about that for a second. We're not going to go out and find the peace and learn how to be an instrument of it. The peace is already internal, in that goodness, in that divine light within. And then our request, like this prayer of St. Francis says, just make me an instrument of that. Let me use what's already within me. And so as we turn our attention to this season of gratitude, what it represents throughout our country, at different homes, across different tables and family experiences. Let's try to keep our gratitude focus for just at least part of the time on being grateful for the divine light, peace, and goodness that's already within us. And maybe the next time throughout these coming days that you put your hand in a pocket of a coat or your pants or a jacket, you'll pause and you'll remember this moment. And when that familiar pocket is being felt by your hand, you'll remember it's already all within me. The light, the divinity, the peace, the goodness, and then be grateful for that. Namaste.